Hey class, in this video I'm going to go over submitting the website project. So we'll talk about the requirements for the project. We will update our GitHub page and create a documentation post on the Open Lab, and then we'll submit everything on Brightspace. So let's take a look at the requirements first. So on the class page. I'm going to go back to topics and go to web, and I'm going to scroll down to where we have the project and just review the requirements. So you should have at least 5 total HTML pages. Your project should be a choose your own adventure project, so it should tell a story. I'm pretty open to whatever story you want to tell, but it should be like a creative and original story. So it shouldn't be, I don't want you to make like a website for like a company or a web store or a portfolio. This should be a unique and original story that you're telling through the medium of the website. So it should have the basic tags, the HTML head, title, and body, and then H1 paragraph, image, and link. Image actually you don't need unless you want to have that. And then you should always have an option to go back to the HTML page. So you want to be able to navigate through the website without getting stuck. So if I get to the end of the story, I should be able to go back to the end. If you use any images or media, make sure that you're using Creative Commons or public domain media and giving appropriate licenses. And use CSS. You should have at least a few CSS rules like color. Text size actually is not a rule, so I'll have to fix that. It should be font size. Font family. Text decoration we actually don't really use, so don't worry about that one. I'll update this list because it needs to be updated. Okay, for your submission, I want you to screen capture the website homepage so you have an image to show. It's good when we do documentation to use images. A URL for the published version of the project, a URL for the code on GitHub, and then our typical project statement that we've been doing for these projects. So the name of the project, semester and year, software and languages used, and then a 3 to 4 sentence description. And that's it. So we're going to go over all of that right now. So first thing we want to do is update our GitHub. If we go, I'm going to go to GitHub and we'll take a look at what we did last time. So let's see. Okay. So last time we added our CSS styles. And so if we go to our GitHub page, our pages version of the site. So it has our styles, but it doesn't have the media that I added last time. And for you, you're going to complete the story that you're working on. So you may have extra pages or new content, or you might have edits or new styles, anything that you've changed that you want to make sure you have in the final version of the website. So we're going to update our code here. First, we want to review, make sure everything looks good. I've got all my images here. The links work. Make sure all the links work. Make sure the media plays. Just want to double check that everything is working before we submit anything. So this all looks good. And so now we just want to upload our new files to GitHub. So I'm going to go to GitHub and I'm going to go to add file and upload files. And again, remember that we don't want to upload our web folder. We want to upload the contents of our web folder to match what we have online. So I'm going to go to the Finder. And again, I'm not going to drag web over here like that. That's going to create a web inside of our main folder. What I want to do is grab all those files that make up our website and drag them over here. And GitHub is going to go through and it's going to notice which things are new and which things are modified. And so in my commit change, I'll just say adds media. And that's really all I did here. So I'll just commit that. And this is going to take a minute to process. Well, actually, it went really fast. Wow. That was pretty fast. Did it really finish already? No, it's still building. Okay. So it's still building. So let's come back in a moment. Okay, so now it is finished building and I can click on this link to deploy, or I can just refresh this link over here. And now we see everything, but it doesn't look quite right. So maybe we missed our style sheet. Oh no, I think sometimes when you load something in Chrome, it caches the files. So like I think what was happening there is that it was loading an older version of my style sheet. And the way I fix that is by hitting Command Shift R, which is like a hard reload. And that is going to flush out the cached or the saved files. Sometimes your browser saves copies of files, so it makes it easier to reload them instead of having to get them from the internet. But what if you do? Where is it? It doesn't actually show. I don't know where this is, but what I usually do is I hit Command Shift R, and that does a hard reload. But maybe it doesn't call it that, or maybe it's or force reload. Maybe that's yeah. Okay, so for some reason it's like hidden, but if you look at force reload, what this does is it forces it to reload the cache. So that might be different on Windows. It's probably just Control Shift R. But if you don't see something update, that may be what you need to do. Another way to test that is if you go to an incognito window, it won't load a cached version. So if I copy this URL, go into incognito, whatever you see there is going to be a fresh version of the site. Anyway, I want to document this, so I'm going to pull this window out of Chrome, and I'm going to make it a little bit smaller just to kind of highlight my content. And then on Mac, I'm going to hit Command Shift 4 and then hit space and take a picture. The other way to do that is to open screenshot. So you can use Spotlight or your application launcher and write in screenshot. And then I can do selected window and then just capture that window, and that'll show up on my desktop. And so I just want an image of the site to show as part of my documentation. And you could do multiple images if you want to show more of the website. You could scroll down and capture more here. But as long as you have one image, that's good. So I'll bring this tab back in here, go back to the Open Lab, and build my post. So I'm going to create a new post here. And we'll add the title of our website. So I'll call this Choose Your Own Adventure. You should just name this whatever you want, or whatever the title you use for your project is. And then it's complaining about the category, so let's go ahead and add that before we do anything else. So for this one, we're going to go to category, and we're just going to choose website. So this is the final version of our website. So now we want to add that image that I just created in there. You can drag and drop, or you can go to the plus and go to image and upload. And this should be on my desktop. So there it is. Got my image. And so now we're going to fill out the rest of our project statement. So we have our title. So for my title, I guess I didn't really come up with a title. I'll call it Welcome to MMP 100. That was the header that I had, so I'll just use that as the title. And then this is from fall 2025. And then I used HTML, CSS, and Sublime. Or actually, HTML and CSS, Sublime Text is the text editor I used, and GitHub is the website I used for publishing. And then you can write a short description, so you can say, my Choose Your Own Adventure story is about a student who is taking MMP 100 and choosing to become an animator or a coder. And your description should be like 3 or 4 sentences. Same thing that we've done in the previous projects. Just write about your concept, your theme, anything else interesting about how you approach the project. And then we want to have a link to the site. So I'm going to copy that. And we want the live link. If you have your project open, your local project, if you see this users or file, that's not the link you want to send. I'm not going to be able to open that. That's on your computer. It's not on the internet. Make sure that your link starts with your username.github.io. That's the only way I'll be able to access it. So we're going to copy that and paste it here, and then link to the project. This is a link to our main GitHub page. So click on the code section of your GitHub page and copy that link and paste it right there. And so that's everything for this project. You can preview or just go ahead and publish. And we're gonna want to make sure all of these links work and just double check everything one more time. So if you check the link and realize that the website doesn't work or the images are missing, you may need to make some fixes and upload it again. When we're making a website, it's really important to check that everything works because sometimes you'll make typos. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to view the post. And let's just make sure all these links work. So link to the site, that works. Link to GitHub, that works. Okay, now within the site, let's make sure our links work. So Coder works, we see the audio, we can play the audio. And let's see, Animator works, we can play the video and we can link back to our page. So make sure everything is working, all the media that you used, if you used media, is working. And just double check everything before you send it in, because sometimes typos or other issues can lead to the website not looking exactly like how you set it up. So I'm going to copy this URL and submit this on Brightspace. And so let's go to Brightspace. This is one of our projects, so we have to scroll down to the projects area and go to Project for Web. You can take a look at the rubric and make sure you've done everything that's required, and then just submit the link to the OpenLab post in your text submission, and that's all you have to submit there. So that's it for our web project. I hope you guys enjoyed that project and learned a little bit. We covered just a teeny little bit of HTML and CSS, but I think it should be pretty fun to publish a website if you've never done that before, and maybe it'll give you some ideas for projects that you could do in the future, or just in general how the web works. So again, let me know if you guys have any questions on anything. And that's it for this project. So we just have one more unit left this semester. It's going to be a little bit shorter just because the end of the semester we have a little less time. So we'll just be doing a couple weeks on 3D modeling, and then we'll have our project due at the end of the semester. So that's it for this one, and I'll see you guys in the next video.